Beautiful people, it's me, Pamela, on my YouTube. Cho, no, what's the tea? Siya Hlazia. Hey guys, let's just unpack on the highlights and things that I'm realizing about Senzo Meyiwa's case. You know how it is. Every time you're just like, what? Hey, bro, did Rata say that? Or what happened at that court? Hi guys, you can tell what it is lies. People are continuing to manufacture, fabricate came with dominance. Manufacturing and cooking came with late Tulani Mngome, late advocate Tulani Mngomezulu. Guys, ngeke namangalela court. Manje we be done with. It started off go Baloyi. SAPC said it's Baloyi. It moved the following day. Kwaseko Mnisi, who is actually talking to some Kabilizers that were inside the court, and we were told that they were arrested. They were actually not. Like the lies there, guys, I'll tell you. They were not arrested. They were taken in for questioning. Actually, outside the court. That's when they were speaking to them, the police, like, who are you? Why are you here? They told them, no, we're here for Kwabini, our friend. No, we're not actually in Kabilizers and all of that. We're not in Kabis for anyone. How? And then 2 days later, after Ratam was gaslighting on Nisi, I was like, no, if you need to go for mental health issues, please go. Guys, like, who even talks like that to anyone that they see every day? Because basically, like I said, Rata, principal. And then these are the teachers, it defends and the state, but he treats them differently. I'm just like, why? It's beginning. I'm moving to Akon. 2 days later, Umnisi doesn't come to court. Chances are, asaza ngithi uhambile, maybe he went to see maybe a psychologist. You know, we don't know, guys. Who even knows? After Urata was forcing him, you must go. When are you gonna go? I'm just like, why, guys? Why? Why are we these people? Or should I say Urata specifically? Why Angie? And then Umnis doesn't peach, we're not told anything, nothing happens. How? That day, now, jiggy, no. Rata now, that we are after. I'm just like, I am done, guys. So Rata's life now is in danger. No, some people are trying to unalive Rata. Oba! Angithi, prosecution is going to be unalived by Umnis, is the one that's telling Kwabini's friends to unalive my prosecutors, plus Brigadier Ginindi. Guys, people are always making up stories. At Senzo Meyiwa's case. Engabe still nje nabo labo bantu. We understand? Like how? At Madlang. Oh, nje, they must just be arrested, those people, for defeating the ends of justice, like especially Advocate George Baloyi, Bene entourage yakhe, Brigadier Bongani Nicholas Ginindi. But ngeke wazi baboshwe. Manje sebehlushwa Umnisi nje, guys. Please, let's talk about this. Umnisi nje, guys. Who can he unalive? Please, guys. Not that I'm taking him for granted or anything like that, but I'm just like, Umnisi will never do anything like that, guys. The way he was now scared. They threatening him now. It's like, who? Like, we want the guys like, hi, guys. Like, it becomes a lot. Why are we here? Sifike nini? Sifike kanjani? Sifike because Ukwabini was telling us stuff that you just like, where did you get this information from? But at the same time, Kwabini is telling us the truth of exactly what happened. Ukuthi babechubiwa, babeshawiwa, stuff was happening to them. Bevumiswa icala bangalenzanga, like the other 5 accused, and especially the first accused, Umuzi Sibiya, Umuzi kakhulelwa Sibiya, ehlangene no Bongani Ntanzi. Those 2 people, actually, those 2 accused, went through the most in this case. And Dibona Ekfanengabe actually by release. But you just like, Njani, why are we here? Sfige nini? How did we even get here? Bendilenti ya escalate. with Ukininda aiding staff, with George Rata making up stories. He's in 3 days, guys. Umnis is in danger. Umnis is the one that brought the Ngabilizers to run after Baloyi and Brigadier Ginin. It moved. Umnis never came to the court. Segu George Rata, life in danger, and we mustn't dubula him, cause he must look good in his casket, cause for his wife. Just like guys. When did we get there? Rata was begging us, please, ningang khanda. I don't want that. I'm doing this for my wife. Whatever you do, please indubulane. And this thing of his, when you're going to recess, he said it's again on Friday. We'll come back maybe on Monday, or we'll come back in Jan if I'm still alive. Why, guys? Why? Since was case, guys, in Jan, they need to take it to other directions now. We are tired of Judge Ratan not taking defense serious. You know, this is definitely an unfair trial to them, and Umshololo is the one that actually came with that. It's an unfair trial, it's an ambush every time, because they're always coming up with stories in them, mangits and them. I mean, the state, basically, Ubalu, they're always coming up with something now. They're just about to be unalived by who? Like, they're always coming up with things, these people.
Officer, they can bring a recusal application.
Well, first and foremost, Linda, I think we don't know at this stage if these people were unhappy with the particular judge, and so that's why they threatened to eliminate them, because we know that as Judges Matter, we've done research, speaking to magistrates, where in our research report we published in 2022, out of a survey of more than 230 magistrates, we found that at least it was about 30-something% of them had responded to say that they've been threatened or harmed in relation to their role as judicial officers, and the purpose of those threats were to try and either make the case go away, or to once you remove the presiding officer, the likelihood of the case being enrolled again was slim. And so it did seem that at least in that context, the threats were trying to disrupt the case. But if you are disgruntled for any reason with how the judicial officer is presiding, there is a legal process that is there, and it's the process of recusal. But even there, you have to really conform with the law. It has to be substantiated. It has to either be a perception, a credible and reasonable perception of bias, or actual bias against the judicial officer, and it has to follow a legal process. Any sort of threat or harm, I think, is an attack on the rule of law, because at the end, presiding officers must preside without fear, favor, or prejudice. Fear is the most...
sentiments. If those allegations were to be proved to be accurate and to be right, that actually goes to the heart of charges of defeating the ends of justice, among others. But of course, these are mere allegations at the moment. But if they are, as I reiterate, if they are to be proved to be true, that goes into deeper than meets the eye. It goes into the heart of this case, and it will also mean that legal practitioners who are deemed and who are expected to be holding the highest standards of ethics, they would, and they are officers of the court, that would have serious ramifications and implications on the matter itself.
For the presiding officer change different places, how would it work?
There will be a threat assessment that is done by the police, and this is also done in conjunction with the Office of the Chief Justice in relation to the High Court. And so if there is an assessment done and the judge needs protection, there are protection provided. We saw this in the Radovan Krejcir case, for example, where the judge was provided with security both in the court and to and from home. But I think, Linda, there is a bigger question about to what extent is the state providing court security generally? I mean, in the last couple of years, there have been cuts that have been made to some of the security budget. We know that in certain of the high courts, the outsourced security services have been reduced to the point where in one high court I know, almost overnight, the security guards were reduced and certain of the entrances were not provided with that security. And so I think there is, other than just an isolated case, there does need to be a serious looking at the security environment in the courts, both by the Office of the Chief Justice, which is for the Superior Court, and the Department of Justice for the lower courts.
Speaking of security, Chad, I want to come back to you. I mean, when you look at what we're being told in this case, they say there is an integrated plan. But what would that look like? Because we know that a number of people, not just the judge, but prosecutors as well, and the investigating team are people that are perhaps being targeted. So a proper plan really to address these issues. When recess, people are going home to different places. How would it work? A judge is not merely an umpire, and these are the words that Judge Ratamakhoteng likes uttering in court. How important is it for the presiding officer to ensure that they control the proceedings and that we stick to what we've come to do?
So a judge not only has a constitutional but also an ethical obligation to ensure a fair trial. And in doing so, they are required to make sure that the case runs and finishes quickly, there are no unnecessary delays, but also the decorum of the court is maintained, both from all sides, whether it's the accused, witnesses, the lawyers, prosecutors, defense, everyone has to be on check and everyone has to ensure that it's a proper trial. But at the same time, the judge must themselves control themselves. So they must also try to speak in a respectful way to everyone involved and make sure that everyone's dignity, whether you're the accused, the witness, or anyone in the court, your dignity must be protected.